Hell in a Cell promises to shorten wrestlers' careers and provide hard-hitting action. However, what can fans expect to see this Sunday? Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at last-minute Hell in a Cell rumors you need to know. Number 1. Expect some last-minute matches. Incredibly, the WWE has only announced 3 matches for Hell in a Cell so far, with The Fiend challenging Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship in the cage, Sasha Banks taking on Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch in the Cell for the belt, and the unlikely team of Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan taking on the Bludgeon Brothers Erick, Rowan and Luke Harper. The reality is that WWE has invested so much time in building up Friday Night SmackDown's premiere on Fox that they've neglected the pay-per-view, a curious and quite frankly stupid move. While no other matches have been confirmed, some have been rumoured, including number 1, a United States Championship defense by AJ Styles. The Phenomenal One has been fending off contenders such as Cedric Alexander and Ricochet of late, so it's probably time for a new challenge. The question is, which sacrificial lamb will the WWE throw at Styles? Ricochet and Cedric Alexander have jobbed at Styles too many times to make another rematch interesting. Number 2. The OC vs the Viking Raiders. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson have been wrestling the Viking Raiders on Raw, and both teams have one win, making a rubber match at Hell in a Cell a possibility. There is also a good way to fill time, as we may not see many title defenses at Hell in a Cell, something we'll address shortly. Both teams should be competing for the Tag Team Championship, but the WWE seems to have gone back into dreamland when it comes to their tag team division. Number 3. The OC vs the Viking Raiders and Cedric Alexander. Another possibility is a 6-man tag between all 3 members of the OC, AJ Styles, Gallows and Anderson, against the Viking Raiders and Cedric Alexander. 3 men the OC have been scrapping with over the last several weeks, and this could be a way for the babyfaces to get all 3 members of the OC in the ring at once, rather than dealing with outside interference. Number 4. SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley goes up against Charlotte Flair. Why the WWE hasn't booked this rematch for Hell in a Cell is anyone's guess, but it makes sense to pit these 2 stars against each other, with the 4 horsewomen battling each other on Friday Night SmackDown. As Becky Lynch teams up with Charlotte to face Sasha Banks and Bayley, it just makes sense that things could continue at the pay-per-view. The only other possibility would be for one of the returning legends at Friday Night SmackDown, such as Trish or Lita, to challenge for the title, a move that would be incredibly stupid with only 2 days to hype the match. Number 5. Chad Gable vs King Corbin. The WWE has done a good job building up the rivalry between Chad Gable and King Corbin, making it likely the 2 will scrap at Hell in a Cell. Vince McMahon is reportedly a huge fan of Chad Gable's work and sees him as a future star, hence Gable faring so well in the King of the Ring tournament and his current program against Baron Corbin. This match makes sense if the WWE truly wants to build Gable and Corbin up as stars and not guys who work largely in television matches. Number 6. Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura takes on Ali. Another good match would be Ali taking on Shinsuke Nakamura for the Intercontinental Championship, and while it's unlikely Ali will win, it could set up things for Nakamura versus another superstar we'll be discussing soon. Number 7. Rusev vs Bobby Lashley. Now, we'd like to rank this as a distant possibility, largely because the WWE hasn't done anything to further the intriguing storyline involving Rusev, Lana and Bobby Lashley. The WWE could set up a match involving Rusev versus another opponent, with Lashley interfering, or Lashley battling an opponent only for Rusev to interfere. Chances are, the WWE will leave this one on Raw and give it time to play out there before moving into a pay-per-view match. Number 8. Tag Team Title Defenses. Raw Tag Team Champions Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, along with SmackDown Tag Team Champions The Revival, could easily find themselves off the show. Ziggler and Roode have no serious competition at this moment. In fact, the WWE brought in SmackDown's heavy machinery to job to them at the Raw season premiere, and while the Revival could defend the titles against the New Day again, it's more likely they'll defend them against the Usos, who were rumoured to be returning to WWE at this week's SmackDown. A Revival vs Usos match could be also a non-title match. And before we forget the Women's Tag Team Champions, and in all fairness, can you blame us if we forget them considering they've been all but forgotten by the WWE's creative department? Let's say it's unlikely they'll be putting up the belts as Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss have been too busy putting over Sasha Banks. The Kabuki Warriors and Fire and Desire are two teams that could challenge the champions, but right now they're all but forgotten. And number 9, a Cruiserweight Championship match. It's been said the only things you can count on in life are death and taxes, but WrestleLamia feels a Cruiserweight Championship match on every pay-per-view pre-show should be added to the list. While no match has been announced, current champion Drew Gulak is all but locked in to defend the title, likely in another triple threat match. If nothing else, fans will get some amazing looking high spots from this one. But while those are some matches that are rumoured, you might want to expect Becky to lose. Yes, it probably stands as a recent trope in wrestling, as there have been numerous times sites and ourselves have predicted that this will be the pay-per-view that Becky will drop the Raw Women's title, but we can't ignore the numerous advertisements WWE have aired on Fox, as well as putting up billboards all across America that indicate Becky is making the move over to the blue brand during the draft. It's very possible Becky could be Becky 2 belts again in the near future, but the draft's main purpose is to set a more permanent fixture of rosters going into the year. The draft is still yet to air, but right now it doesn't make sense to hype Becky on a show she's not even on. But could this be a Lameduck pay-per-view? Looking at Hell in a Cell, the WWE has put little effort into anything but the main event matches, and with the WWE draft starting just days after the pay-per-view, it's arguable the WWE doesn't want to shake things up too much before the 11th October Friday Night SmackDown. Consequently, we may not see many, if any, title changes, and there may not even be that many title matches. It's short-sighted for the WWE to be treating a pay-per-view as an afterthought, similar to how the WWE treated the last episode of SmackDown on the USA Network, but so far there's no evidence to suggest the WWE has put much thought into the show. However, a reduced number of matches could also indicate that the Hell in a Cell bouts will be given a lot of time and thought, and no doubt run over the 30-minute mark each that will culminate in a hellacious brawl. But one thing's for sure, expect something big in the Rollins vs the Fiend match. The WWE finds itself in a bit of a pickle with the Seth Rollins vs Fiend match for Rollins' Universal Championship match, as while the Fiend is one of the WWE's most over stars in a long time. The promotion's decision to thrust him into a main event title match against Seth Rollins is problematic for several reasons, many of them revolving around the question of whether the Fiend will win the Universal Championship. First, the WWE worked hard to rebuild Seth Rollins' image as a never-say-die underdog, giving him a huge and decisive win over Brock Lesnar. If Rollins loses the Universal Championship, what's the point of having him put over Lesnar, particularly since Rollins has been portrayed as deathly afraid of the Fiend, with his actions bordering on cowardice. Second, the Fiend should have been built up more before entering a World Championship match. The Fiend doesn't need a World Championship at this point, and if he continues getting over, he may never need one, and the WWE is hot-shotting Bray Wyatt's devilish doppelganger, rather than putting him into bigger and better programs over time. Though it's unlikely now that Finn Balor has gone over to NXT, he still had unfinished business with The Fiend after his decisive loss at SummerSlam, and an eventual The Demon vs The Fiend match could be huge. Third, The Fiend has a lot to lose if he counts the lights for Seth at Hell in a Cell, even if he's booked so strong as Braun Strowman was in his loss to Rollins at Clash of Champions. With more fans losing faith in Rollins, a big win for the Beast Slayer does little to redeem him in the eyes of the fans, and it weakens The Fiend's momentum. That being said, the best solution is to have someone interfere in the match, leading to a non-finish. If The Fiend does attack The Undertaker at Friday Night SmackDown, Hell in a Cell would be the perfect opportunity for Taker to get revenge, protecting both Rollins and The Fiend by having neither man lose. We could even see Braun Strowman try to get payback on The Fiend. At this point, anything can happen. But ultimately, it's difficult to make rumours for Hell in a Cell when the WWE seems to have no idea what's going on in the undercard. More than likely, we'll see the company scrambling after Friday Night SmackDown and making a number of matches, and hopefully, the WWE won't treat the event as a lame duck, where they go into cruise control mode before shaking things up with the WWE draft. They risk turning off fans if it puts on a half-baked pay-per-view, and it could lose any momentum it gets from Raw's season premiere and SmackDown's move to Fox. But there you have it guys, some last-minute Hell in a Cell rumours you need to know. What do you guys think? Should WWE stick to 3, 4 or even 5 matches in total? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.